Hello everyone. How's it going? Welcome.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Oh yeah, we're greetings. We're doing greetings. I love
Sorry.
it. No.
Just
please.
run.
Hugs are so important. I'm Justin Waldman, he, him. I'm the artistic director here at Two River. Thank you so much for coming to this In the Know for the Price with the amazing Brandon Dirden, our director. So thrilled.
Thank you.
I have to beg your patience with me. I tried to print out my notes, and my printer decided that it had enough with this fine earth, so I have my notes on my phone. So I promise you, I'm not playing Wordle. I've done work here. I always start these off by embarrassing our great guest by saying amazingly lovely things about all the great things that they have done in their lives, which
My whole life, great. Yeah.
we could stay here for a long time if we went through all the great things that Brandon Dirden did, but I'm going to try to do it as quickly as I can. This is your 12th show at Two River. You've been here for a dozen years, once a year, I think.
Yeah.
His directing credits at Two River include Seven Guitars, King Hedley II, Radio Golf, Wine in the Wilderness, and now The Price. His acting credits here also include Jitney, Top Dog Underdog, Your Blues Ain't Sweet Like Mine, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, A Raisin in the Sun, and last season's Gem of the Ocean.
Is that 12?
I think that's a lot. I can't count. I'm in theater. You were a math major, which I just found out. You learn something new every day, and that's what I learned about Brandon today. He is a director and an actor non-paroled, but he is, as an actor, has appeared on Broadway, starring in the Tony Award-winning production of Take Me Out. He was in Skeleton Crew, All the Way, Jitney, Clybourne Park, Enron, Prelude to a Kiss. And then off-Broadway, he's appeared at Signature Theater, the Public Theater, Classical Theater of Harlem, New York Theater Workshop, Tofana, and many, many others. Oh. Then all over the country, and I won't bore you with that, but it's a great list. His work has on stage been recognized with a Theater World Award, an Obie Award, an Adelco Award, the Drama League Distinction, the Lucille Lortel nomination, among many other awards. He's also been seen on TV and film in The Good Wife, The Get Down, Blue Bloods, P-Valley, and The Americans. One of my favorite shows of all time, by the way. My wife and I were obsessed. Oh my God, appointment viewing. He is also, in another life, in all the other time that he has, he is an associate professor of the arts at the New York University Tisch School for the Arts MFA program in graduate acting, and a frequent volunteer at the 52nd Street Project, which is the happiest place on earth. Please go to the 52nd Street Project and support it. It is an amazing place. He got his BA in math and theater from Morehouse College and an MFA in acting from the University of Champaign-Urbana in Illinois, where my wife went. If that's not enough things, I just want to take a moment to just say that he is an inspiring individual. Being around Brandon Dirden is like just having a shot of adrenaline in that what you can be as a human being, just aspire to be who this man is, as an artist, as a man, as a father, as a husband. It really has just been one of the greatest privileges of my career just to be in his orbit. So everybody, I would like you to welcome the amazing Brandon Dirden.
Thank you.
Hey. I told you I was going to embarrass you, and I did it.
You succeeded.
I got it. I did.
It's very embarrassing.
I have a few things that I'm good at. That's one of them. Look, so you practically live here. You might as well have an apartment somewhere in the back. How did your relationship with Two River begin, and why do you keep coming back here?
Yes. Well, to be quite frank, it's all of you. I mean, I'm not trying to fluff your biscuits. The truth is that there is no greater gift that an artist can have than a community that says, okay, let's see what you got. We'll be here for it. We'll give you some time, and we'll be invested in your artistic journey for however long that this thing, will run its course. And like I said, it's been a dozen years now, and I hope that'll be another dozen. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and the Alley Theater, which is the flagship theater of Houston and really the Southwest area. It's one of the last regional theater companies or theater companies in America to have a resident company of actors. And so I grew up, that's the jam. What is that? Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Right on. So I grew up with a theater that had company members that we could watch season after season after season do a completely different roles, sometimes multiple roles in the same season. And I got my debut. I made my acting debut there at the age of 11 in August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone. So it was something that was afforded to me at an early age in terms of being in relationship with the community through theater and through storytelling that I really valued. And when you're in New York, you're kind of a nomad if you're a freelance artist. Very few actors or directors have a serious long-term attachment to an institution. Often we're jobbing out to other great theater companies across the globe, and so it's difficult to develop the type of relationship that we share here at Two River, and it's something that affords me the opportunity to try new things, because I'm not just hired to do that thing that you do, right? I am asked and I am given the space to expand, as you expand, as we all expand our interrogation about what this is all about. Yeah, and so that's what really keeps me coming back, is the opportunity to peek behind the curtain at another facet of who I am, who we are, and how we can get closer to some understanding of meaning, and how to do this thing called life better. And that familiarity that we have, it allows us to take really dangerous risks. I don't know if you've seen The Price or will see it tonight, but that was a risky thing for me personally. I've never worked on an Arthur Miller play. I've always admired and adored. You should probably ask another question, because I can just talk.
I'm good. I'm good.
But I've been a fan of Arthur Miller for forever, and I teach him in class, and I work with scenes and scene study in the grad acting program. But I've never gotten to perform in one of his shows as an actor or direct it. So it's a big risk, and to have a theatrical home that says, you know what, we trust you, take that risk, and let's see what we can find out together. It's invaluable, and hopefully I can take many more risks as the years unfold with you all.
Open invitation. So, that's been,
you heard it, right? I think we got cameras rolling.
Yeah. That's on tape.
Yeah.
So you what's so amazing? I mean, look, you see why I embarrass him. It's so amazing. You swap between so many different places in your career. You have many hats that you wear. You're an educator. You're an actor. You do TV and film. You direct. You do theater. Like, what connects them all? And what inspires you to diversify your craft in the way that you have?
I think I'm really just now in the last probably 2 years coming to understand this very question. And it's through the observations of my wife, Crystal Dickinson, who many of you may be familiar with as the goddess she is. But
Indeed.
When I started directing in particular, a couple of years ago, she says, you need to do this. This is really good for you because you like a problem. I mean, speaking of being a math major, I come at the arts with that approach, right? That it's about solving problems. That's what I do as an actor. That's what I do as a director. That's what you all do as audience members, whether you know it or not. You're sitting in and you're watching the story unfold, and the only thing that keeps you really engaged and interested is that you identify a problem and you wonder how it's going to get solved. And I'm telling you this, and some of you may know this, but when you're in the audience in a really good play, well acted, well written, you start playing every character as an audience member. And so you're solving those problems for yourself. And so when you watch somebody do something the way you would have done it, or the way you would not have done it, it keeps you engaged, right? But that at the essence is life is a problem. And art, theater making, film, television, storytelling gives us these equations to solve the problems of life in a safe way. You understand what I'm saying? You get to immerse yourself in this problem risk-free. And you get to practice. so that when you're confronted with these problems in real life, you have some touch points, you have some familiarity, you have some degree of confidence to approach this thing, to hopefully come out with a better result, because you've watched these other people fearlessly intersect with this problem and perhaps give terrible solutions. And so you say, I know I'm not going to do that, because I do think all storytelling is a cautionary tale, or come up with incredible solutions. He's like, I admire that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to try and listen better, or I'm going to be more open to receiving the bad news, or I'm going to make that phone call and tell that person I love them, which I was terrified to do. We get to experience that safely through storytelling. And I think, as an actor, as a director, as a father, as a husband, I feel so equipped because of the myriad of playwrights and stories that I get to interrogate in a real way, not on not just from a spectator way, but to really get in the muck with it. And my wife says, you need the problem. Mm-hmm. You need it. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the problem, you're not a happy person. You're just not very useful. And that's all. And that's really my biggest aim in life, is I want to be useful. Mm-hmm. August Wilson has that line that Troy Maxon is talking to Rose, and he just says, all my life I just wanted to live a good, hard, clean, useful life. And there's not much more than I aspire to do, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. It's to be of service to somebody else because it makes me feel good. If I know I just help somebody else understand something about themselves, or understand something about their relationship, I may never know that, but I have to hope that after seeing a play that I'm involved in, that somebody can take away something that's going to mm-hmm. add some value to their lives or somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's dreamy and it's idealistic, but it's what keeps you coming back. And I think you have a lot of hope that that's what theater can do. And I have that hope. And so lately I've just been saying, I'll meet you in that plane of hope, right? I'll meet you there, because I think that's where you want to be.
I mean, you speak so eloquently about you solving the problems.
Yeah.
And speaking about a play with problems, right? Like the price,
yeah.
Right? There are there's a big problem to solve in this piece. Can you talk us a little bit about what it's about, and then what it means to you as a play?
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, this is these two estranged brothers, Victor and Walter, have been left with an inheritance of their parents' stuff. I won't call it junk. It's stuff, and it comes in the form of lots of furniture, right? And antiques and relics. And the father's passed 16 years prior to the start of the play. The estranged brothers haven't spoken about it, but the stuff has to be dealt with because the brownstone that they grew up in is now being demolished. And now they have to deal with this. The brother Victor, I'm not giving anything away here, you learned this in the first 5 minutes, is a civil servant. He's a police officer, and he has been the caretaker of the father. And so it is his primary responsibility to deal with the stuff. He's been trying to reach out to his brother Walter, who is a very successful doctor, and Walter has not been available, but Walter shows up today to help deal with the stuff. And so this play is really about taking inventory of the past in order to figure out how to best go into the future. And we can only really, here we go again, quoting August Wilson. But the great character Fielding and Jitney, Anthony Chisholm, oh, God rest his soul. But he had this line, and as Fielding and Jitney says, he says, if you find yourself stuck in a tree, you got to figure out first how you got up there, because that's going to determine how you get down. He said, did you climb up to pick an apple, or you run up by a bear? You got to know that, right? And so I see these two brothers who are stuck in this tree, and they have to figure out how they got up there, to figure out how they need to hit the ground running when they do get down. And there's gravity, so you will come down. Yeah. You inevitably will come down out of that tree. And today is a day where the brothers meet gravity. But they got to unpack this history. And that was a big thing for Arthur Miller. I mean, just watching him do interviews talking about his impetus for writing this play. He had a deep concern in 1967 when he wrote this play that we were losing a curiosity for our own history. And he understood how dangerous that was. I mean, hello today. But he understood how important it was for us to, again, embrace a relationship with our history and really being curious about it in its entirety. And that means sometimes getting the viewpoint. That's a word that's used a lot in this play, the viewpoint, the viewpoint. But understanding that your viewpoint is often unreliable. And you need the viewpoint of someone else you're in a relationship with to make truly informed decisions about how to best move forward.
It's so great that you bring up August Wilson so much. Yeah, but like, because in so many ways, like Wilson and Miller are the top of the pyramid chroniclers of the American experiment of the entirety of the 20th century, like in their own ways, and they've been compared that way in many ways. But this is my first Miller that I've ever worked on, and this is your first Miller that you've ever worked on. We both have worked on many Wilsons, you more than my. But what is it like to work on a Miller, and like what has struck you about his writing that you didn't know before you worked on him?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I get diarrhea working on Arthur Miller. I gotta tell you, it is just the churning of the core of who you are. He disrupts you in a way, and it's so sly and it's so sneaky. I mean, and this is true for, All My Sons, the first third of a play seems so innocuous. It seems so pedestrian almost, right? And then you're like, okay, where am I going? This is cool banter, but where am I going? And you're like, oh, how did I get here? How did I get here? Well, it's still going up. I know it's going to come down. And the churning of your nervous system, it's so sneaky, and it's so human, and it's so real because he writes these characters who all just want the best, and their mistakes have been made, absolutely. But working on a play without any villains. I don't know any. You have Incident at Vichy, right? But even then, I can't really recall that there are actual villains. The situation itself in that play is evil and horrific, but the characters that we meet, I don't know that there are any stock villainous characters. And so without the stock villain, I have no exit ramp. I am implicated by everyone on stage, all these characters who are involved in the story. I have to see myself in all of them. I am not able to just detach and say, well, that's just monstrous, and I don't see the humanity in that. So I can side with these people, right, and be safe over here. There's nowhere to be safe once we're in the throes of an Arthur Miller play. There's nowhere to be safe. It's satisfying. But it is disturbing, deeply disturbing to the nervous system. Because you see the heart, you see and what I will say, what I didn't know about Arthur Miller before working on it so intimately, probably the biggest thing I learned is just how fair he is. Not every playwright is fair to their characters, in that he gives everybody equal weight in the argument. That doesn't mean that everybody has the same number of lines. However, what you must consider for each character in the play, in terms of where they're coming from, he weights it equally. So it's really hard to categorize people too soon, right? Because your allegiances will change if you're open to just really receiving the story. And that's a real skill, to be fair as a playwright.
Yeah, and you talk about being safe, right? Which, because there is no hiding in this. No. There is no here's the cool, look over here, here's the dazzling with this. It is just actors on stage bearing their souls. Right. And you have created such a safe environment for them to do that. Yeah. How do you do that? How do you inspire these four individuals who never met before they walked in this room to trust each other so much, to bear their soul, to dig so deep, and to find so much truth in this play? Because that is a spirit I would offer is that it is enfranchised by your leadership.
Well, thank you, Justin. It's very generous of you to make that assumption. No, it really is. And to be fair, I mean, I've been in rooms where that has not been the case, and it was not the case because of the leadership in that room didn't allow it. So it's in one way, and I'm not trying to cop out here, but in one way, first of all, it's about inviting people who you sincerely believe want to meet at that place where I was talking about, that place of hope. You know, these actors who, I don't know, is that me? These actors who come to make art at Two River Theater aren't doing it for the next job. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like I'm going to take this job in hopes that somebody's going to see me so that I can get to Broadway or that I can get on TV. They take these jobs here at Two River because they are passionate about the opportunity to tell the story and to be in conversation with you about the story that we're telling. And that is that's a noble thing. It's an honorable profession to be an actor if we choose it to. And I've invited 4 actors who I know to be honorable and who I know to be sincere and have great integrity when it comes to this art form. And when you invite people who you know, who you've witnessed or experienced, who have that integrity, whether they know it or not, and you allow them to just show up in their full selves without me orchestrating what this environment has to be. If I just trust that thing that has brought us all to this field, it is inevitable that we can have a fantastic time making a very, very, very difficult play in a very safe way. It is inevitable if we just trust that who you've invited to the room will do that organically. And then when you see things, obstacles, my job as a director is to facilitate this space and to remove any obstacles that would force an actor to have to protect themselves in a way that keeps them from being open to experience these characters fully. And so when I say remove obstacles, what that means is if there's confusion about a moment, I need to be able to articulate clearly what I think or that Arthur Miller is after. And that creates a safety net if we're all have the same understanding of the shared goal of the playwright. And that they can trust that I have a vantage point, which they don't have on the outside, to be able to articulate if we're moving in that direction or if we're moving away from that direction, right? And as an actor myself, I mean, I kind of have a cheat code because I understand the anxiety that a lot of actors will have when approaching this type of work, and I can speak to that anxiety and say that anxiety is valid, it's real. It won't stay here because we're going to figure out what the hell we're doing, but that anxiety only means that you care deeply. Mm-hmm. You care deeply to be accountable, not just to yourself, but to your fellow actors and creators in the room, but also to the playwright itself. And I have great compassion for that. And I love actors. I do. I think we're an insane lot. We're a special kind of crazy, right? And I just love that fearlessness that is possible when we're on the same page, attacking the same goal, trying to solve the same problem in a myriad of different ways. So I think that is my only recipe for creating or for helping to facilitate, because I don't create it, but I allow and I help to facilitate and I encourage that, is really to get out of the way. Mm-hmm. Get out of the way for people, how organically people want to behave.
I love it. I love that you put it in the form of obstacles, right? Like removing those metaphoric obstacles. But in a way, you've also put in front of them a ton of physical, actual, literal obstacles, because even for a 4-character play, the 5th character is our set, right?
Yeah.
Which, if when you walk in, you'll see it. We have pretty much vomited the entire prop stock onto the stage. Our incredible director of props, Cedric, is amazing and has put so much work in there. And our great designer Neil Prince put a big sculpture of the detritus of a life, right?
Yeah.
Is on stage. Like, can you talk about like what that physical space is like? It's loaded with so much weight of the past, and it is literally loaded with weight. But like, what does the space mean, and what do these objects mean, and how are they imbued with so much import?
Yeah, well, this is a lot of this is prescriptive to what Arthur Miller has given us, right? I mean, he talks so, even in the stage directions, he gives advice on how the characters handle a prop, right? How they pick it up, the expressions that are on their face when the needle drops on the record, right? So he gives us a lot of clues on how these characters are endowing these objects. So that's half the battle when you have a playwright who is so clear and so purposeful in his stage directions with these objects. Again, I have to look at always as a director, like, what is the catalytic event? Why are we here? What is the thing that propels the story in motion, right? And I have to understand that very acutely. And it's odd that it is the stuff, which is the catalytic event, right? I mean, it doesn't talk, it doesn't walk, it just sits there, right? But that is what these characters have been doing in their relationship. They've been sitting in the weight of this estrangement, right? And the only thing that is constant is this stuff that cannot get up and walk away, right? That they both have a history with, right? They can walk away from each other. They cannot answer the phone call. They cannot return the phone call. But they both have an undeniable history to the stuff that they grew up in. And that stuff has attachment to not just to each other, but to their parents, right? So these are the sinews, these things, and maybe I think we all are familiar with that. I mean, I just lost my father about 5 weeks ago, and my mom, she's in town. I picked her from the airport this morning, and she's like, I brought two of your dad's work shirts, the shirts that he used to wear when he barbecued. Now, to anybody else, that means absolutely nothing. But to me, right, to smell like that mesquite wood still soaked in the fibers of the shirt, right, or see that barbecue stain, right? I mean, it has such a life of its own, and it's a connection that's tethered to my father. And so now when I grill next Sunday, I'm going to put on that work shirt that he has. You know what I'm saying? I mean, luckily I have a fond relationship to the stuff, right, and the memories that they create, but it's inevitable. I mean, these inanimate objects have such a history and such a weight, yes, but also an antagonistic quality to them as well, depending upon the relationship that you have with the owner or the previous owner or the gifter. You understand what I'm saying? So it's unavoidable, this set and these things on this set for it to cause a collision course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You bring up your family, you bring up Crystal, you bring up your dad. Like, the idea of family and legacy is like so steeped in this play, but also like, when I think about you in this place, it's such a big part of that, right? Like you and Crystal have been in many shows together as director and actor are opposite each other. Chase, your son, is practically grown up in this building, almost quite literally. Yeah. And you've shared the stage with both your brother, Jason, and your father, Willie, to whom the production is dedicated.
Thank you for that.
Like if, as they say, that all art is personal, right? Like what has the experience of telling this story of family and legacy been for you, where that is in every corner that you look?
Yeah.
Sorry if that's too personal.
No, it's not too personal at all. I'm just trying to grab onto a thought as they're just swirling around. There's so many things. I mean, so many entry points I have to answer that question. I'm just trying to pick the most salient one and the one that I don't start. Well, what it means, it's this has been a family business. I guess much like, back in the day, if you were a blacksmith, you taught your son how to do that, or it's furniture makers. Why not storyteller? Why wouldn't that be your family trade? We see the Barrymores and we see the other great acting families, and I think to have a place, again, as I was referencing at the top of our conversation, to have a place that say, not only do we value you, right, but who else you got? Well, here's my wife. Okay, yep, we value her too. Well, my dad, well, come on in. Yep, we value him as well. And what you don't know is that when you first valued me in 2012, when I started here with Jitney, you weren't just valuing me. You were valuing everything that my father had put into me. He was my first acting coach. And so you were honoring him by accepting me into your community and inviting me back again and again. But not just him, you're honoring my wife even before she got here, because I am not the artist I am without her. We were in grad school together. And we became, each other's mirror. And we still are to this day. That's my helpmate. She keeps me honest. I try to do the same for her. And so anytime you are recognizing an artist who works at this space, you're not just recognizing that one artist. You are recognizing that artist's family, their friends, everyone who poured love into them to make them who they are, so they can share something with you of value. But to have that specifically recognized in the physical form of welcoming my wife and my dad, even in the same production like we got to do Raising the Sun, it is a very unique experience that I dare say a very small percentage of actors, outside of like a small town community with a community theater where like that family, if you're gonna do a play, that's the family that's gonna do the play. But in terms of a professional setting where we can actually make a living at doing this is a very rare and special gift that you have given to me and my family. And I hope to honor you, not just with the work that I shepherd here as a director or that I get to perform in as an actor, but with my presence, with the conversations that we're able to have in the lobby or at the elevator. That's all a part of it. It's not this is a holistic relationship that I hope I'm not entrapping you. But to me it is. It's more than just you're on that side of the footlights and I'm on this one. That's not the way I think our world operates in its fullness or at its best. That's not the way to keep it separate. We're just missing out on too many opportunities. So to be able to be in a relationship with you, even in this forum, and now with my family, it gives me hope again that we can see each other in more than a transactional way, that we can invest in each other and learn from each other, not just about my work, but who I am. And if you want to know who I am, then you got to know my dad. Mm-hmm. You got to know my wife. You got to know my son, right? Or be curious about that. If you really want to see what makes me me. Yeah, and I want to know about yours. Mm-hmm. I think theater is just a gateway into us really being able to see each other more fully. I think so.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Brandon, let me open it up to any questions that you may have. Yes.
Hi. I love your work. I love your work behind the scenes and on stage. Has having a child changed the way you process and benefited you in any ways that you didn't anticipate?
I'll just try to reiterate for the. Has having having your son Chase, has that changed your approach as an actor or an artist?
Yeah. You know, all my friends who had kids before I did, who were actors, they said, man, look, you got to have a kid. You just have to. You got to do it. You have to have a kid if you want to get to that next level of artistry, right? And, you know, and I didn't understand why, and, you know, I didn't give it serious thought, but after I had Chase, I mean, it's like a light switch. I was performing, I was doing Martin Luther King Jr. in All the Way on Broadway when Chase was born. He was born on a Saturday afternoon. That was the first performance I've ever missed in life when I had to call out because he was going to come Friday night and I could have been at the matinee. But it was purposeful. I mean, he took his own sweet time coming. Crystal was in labor like 18 hours. But there was a possibility to where, seriously, where I was not going to miss that matinee. Like he was going to be born on Friday at like midnight and I'll be ready to go at 2 p.m. back at the theater. But I missed that window. And so I had to call out for the matinee. Made the evening show. Mm-hmm. Is that true? No. I went back on Sunday. But instantaneously that reoriented me to what is important in life. The show didn't need me. We had a very capable understudy. My wife needed me. My son needed me. And so it recalibrated just a life balance that I needed because I am so, I love my job. I love what I do. And I happen to think I'm good at it. And so I worry that if I don't do it, it's not going to get done well. And that's just not the truth. It's not. I need to be count onable in real life too. And so having Chase, it was the only thing that could stop me from going to the theater and getting that lesson, right? So that's on a practical level, but also watching Chase learn what this world is with as much curiosity as he has, but also teaching me what this world is with as much wisdom as this young kid has. It helps to, again, free me of ego as an artist and really search for the nuances of truth as it relates to something outside of me. While I still have to use myself, I'm no longer only focused on myself looking good. You understand what I'm saying? Or being impressive. That's not enough. As a byproduct, it may be impressive, but it's no longer the goal. You know? Where it used to, I will be very, very, very honest and say that used to be the goal. I wanted to come and I want to impress you. And I wanted you to get your money's worth and I wanted you to think I was the best thing since sliced bread. I wanted that. I wanted you to have a good time. And you may still do that, but that is no longer my goal only. You know what I'm saying?
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
Brandon, excuse me, as an educator,
Mm-hmm.
and all that you have experienced on both sides of the camera,
Mm-hmm.
or the stage, so to speak, and camera, what is it that you want your students to really be able to walk away with, having had you as their teacher?
What's sorry to paraphrase. What's the lesson that you want your students to walk away from your teachings most prominently with?
Yes.
Probably my goal, because I'm at the graduate level. So here's the thing I tell my students. Number one, on the first day, I said, you're at arguably is probably the top 3 best acting training programs in the world, right? NYU grad acting. Certainly one of the most competitive in the world. And I tell them on the first day, I say, you come here because you think my job is to teach you how to be a better actor or to teach you how to act. That's not my job. We see almost 1,000 people for 16 slots. You think we invite the people who can't act? That's not my job, is to teach you how to act. You know how to act. My job, much like in a rehearsal room, is to facilitate a space for you to do what you do and be free to do that. And for you to keep finding your own limits and going beyond those, right? In a safe, brave way. That's my job, is to facilitate. And I do that by offering advice. And that advice is advice that I've received, you know, from 35 years in this business. You know, beginning like with Ruben Santiago Hudson, who brought me here for the first time, even August Wilson, who I was blessed to know and work with, and Claude Purdy, or Scott Ellis, or, you know, all the many directors and acting teachers and actors that I've worked with in my career. I am just a repository of really good advice from excellent artists. And it's my job to be able to see each individual artist in front of me and be able to offer what I think is the advice that could help them surpass their own limitations, right? Not to become the artist I think they should be, but to partner with them so that they can be the artist they want to be, which is the most useful thing you can be, is the thing that you want to be. Not some idea of what I think is going to sell or get you work, you know? But what is most truthful, right? I mean, you see in the price, and maybe you've seen another production. So why do you need to see this one? It's not to know the story again, or you can read the play and you'll know what the story is. That's not a reason to come and see it, a revival of anything, right? But it's, what does this group of artists do with this story? What do they illuminate for me that I hadn't considered before, right? And so my job as a teacher is to help them trust that and to demystify this entire business about what it is to be famous or not, or what it is to be on Broadway. Or I mean, listen, I will say I've had experiences here at Two River Theater that I value and I treasure much more than any experience I've had on Broadway. And I've been in 4 Tony Award-winning plays, you know? So it's not about those benchmarks that we think it is. I've been on Emmy Award-winning television shows. I've been, you know, and every single time I'm like, oh, that is not at all what I thought it was. So really, what is it?
Yeah.
And what it is your willingness and your bravery to tell the truth, to help somebody else see themselves, or to see somebody else in a really human way that can form relationships that will edify you. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I mean, the truth, man, that is what this play is about.
I think so.
Finding their own truth, but also like in the way that you have encouraged them to tell it in every fiber of their being. So it's a beautiful production, and I can't wait to share it with all of you.
Yes.
I got to get you out of here so you can make it to the show. Maybe get a cocktail before you get in there. But a huge thank you to everybody for coming to tonight's In the Know. Huge thank you to Brandon Dirden for his insights and wisdom and honesty. The price is open now and runs to the end of the month. Our next season, this is the last show of our season. Our next season starts in September with Murder on the Links, a world premiere of a new Agatha Christie. So we're really excited for that. Come check us out. Check out our website for all the things going on. There's so much happening this month. Our Pride celebrations, our community closet. We have a props thing on Monday. There's so much happening at Two River Theater. So thank you for being part of this. Thanks for being part of this community. And thank you to this man right here for your artistry.
Thank you. Thank you.